So welcome, you guys. Thank you very much for joining. We are doing a double-header commentary for the episodes The Edge of Beyond and Web Riders on the Storm. Thank you guys for joining me. Could you introduce yourselves? Let's start with Andrew Duncan.
Hello, I'm Andrew Duncan. I was the director of Web Riders on the Storm. And I just dropped the bottle.
This is already off to a great start.
Awesome start. This is great.
Some things never change.
Yeah. It's just ginger ale now instead of Coca-Cola. Yeah.
So you were the director on Web Riders, and also you did sound editing. Is that right?
No, I was a picture editor before.
Oh, sorry.
But it's in the same ballpark.
There was sound. You were editing sound too.
There was I did do sound.
I think we had a sound editor and sounder. Oh yeah, the final mix.
Sound,
Yeah.
Yeah, just those guys. Yeah, Marcel and them.
And Casey, how about you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Casey Kwan, and I was the supervising animator on Web Riders, so I worked with Andrew quite a bit. We did a lot of shows together, didn't we, Andrew?
Yeah, we did. We also did NProg.
Ooh, I'd like to talk about NProg sometime.
Sure.
Oh, yes, NProg. That was a fun show.
That is a real fun show. That's a real good episode.
I think that's the highlight of season 3 at least, if not the whole series.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Zeke, how about you?
I'm Zeke Norton. I was director on Edge of Beyond. It was the second episode that I had directed after Icons, and I feel that I had got my feet under me. Icons was a bit of a mess, I thought, looking back on it now, but
No.
I've watched Web Riders recently, and I'm more proud of it than I was of the other one.
You're too hard on yourself about Icons. I love that episode. Everyone's excited to hear from you folks. We got a Q&A session afterwards with a bunch of questions from the fans. Let's get started.
Oh, it's the long version. It's the pre-Andrew Duncan cut-down version. 23 minutes, 41 seconds.
Oh, how short is the Andrew Duncan version?
I think there's something like 30-some seconds off of everyone.
Who was that for?
Like that.
Did you do that for broadcast?
I'm thinking maybe now that I think back, maybe it was just season 1 and 2, because season 3 by then was no longer at ABC, and I think it was an ABC thing.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was for
ABC's time
syndication,
was
but
longer.
I guess maybe we didn't have enough episodes for syndication, if I ever remember.
I think on season 3 we started doing it at the time. ABC was the only one that had that time frame
Right.
that they wanted.
Right.
So everything else syndication. So I think we just started editing syndication wise, and then it was good.
No longer
So
an
a bit of a
issue.
sidetrack. Yeah. I'll try not to drop any more bottles.
Drop as many as you like. Come on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Everyone listening in, press play in 3, 2, 1.
Now, does anybody remember if this was the first opening with the web in it? It must have been, right?
It was, I think, yeah. Because this is where this was the first of the 4 kind of web arc, right?
Yeah, season 3 was cut into 4 chapters. In the previous episode, they had just met Surfer and left for the Edge of Beyond. All these shots seem to be from the previous episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much. I guess that was all. That was from yours, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
That's what
we had any
Web
footage
Riders.
from Web Riders or the next one.
Yeah, we had like that shot of Andrea on the bed. That might have been from yours too.
I'm pretty sure that's from Edge of Beyond, yeah. Look at this. This is like the
Okay,
highest tech of special effects there. It was just a tube with a texture on it. We just stretched it out and translated it in Y.
And now you were traveling in some sort of other kind of spatial dimension.
Yeah.
It all made sense.
Our ship's crew will be rotting in a prison cell awaiting deletion. We banded together to help Matrix find Bob, who's trapped in the web. Our new ally, a web surfer, has agreed to act as our guide.
Oh, Surfer. Do you remember how
This was-
amazing his acting was?
This is Mel Gibson's brother, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Younger
They-
brother?
Apparently, he got hired to do like a lot of Mel Gibson impersonations.
Yeah, I
For
think he
voiceover
did.
work.
I think he was also the guy that, like, when you had to change a Mel Gibson line to "flipping you," it was him that did it. Yeah,
He was the go-to guy.
He's the whole career
Yeah.
for network television and airplane dubs.
yeah.
Probably made a pretty
Tom
good
Hanks.
living doing that.
Yeah, Tom Hanks' brother does all the Woody stuff in games. Although, okay, that's something else. We'll keep talking about this.
Really? Oh my God! I did not know these things.
Yeah, this commentary is full of useful information. There's all the binomes.
Oh, those little
pilots.
binomes. I loved animating the binomes. They were fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are you going in here at this point?
Uh,
Is that a tear or is that?
well, this is the titular Edge of Beyond. This is supposed to
Oh, okay.
be the portal from the net to the web, and which I think back in the 90s we somehow made a distinction between the internet and the web,
Yeah.
at least for narrative purposes. I don't know why.
I think I always saw it as, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I always saw it as the net being something that was a protected network, like an internal network. And the web was, the World Wide Web out there, the Wild West.
But does that make sense in terms of all the systems that Matrix and Andrea were going through? Like, they weren't presumably hitting. They were going to different computers, which might have been in like
On the
different
same
people's
network.
homes, or they could have been people playing different games at a office.
Yeah, that's how I always saw it. I always saw it as being like at a community college.
Oh, sorry to jump
You know
in.
what I
This
mean?
was
Like,
this was my epic shot here. And, I was trying to like do one big long take and having tons of stuff go on because it was something that we didn't normally do in CG at the time.
Yeah.
These big sweeping shots. And so what I did is I assigned like each animator. We had 8 animators. I assigned each animator maybe 2 or 3 binome cycles, and then just populated them around. And my favorite one is our friend Scott Balches did the potato peeler.
Yeah.
And then later in the episode, we'll point it out where things are going crazy and the guy's still peeling potatoes. And the bucket's moving away and bucket's moving back.
Why, thank you, kind sir.
And now looking at it, looks like such a not epic shot, but at the time we're like, oh, it's going to be amazing. There's going to be hundreds of binomes, and it's going to be like a minute long, and it's never been done before. And
And it was epic at the time. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? At the time, everybody in the studio would be like, "How many binomes you got in there?" Yeah.
yeah. There's a bit of defocus, which we didn't do very often, but it was totally cheated in the way that things are not cheated now. Now you can use your lenses on your virtual cameras can pull focus and so forth. But in those days, we just rendered things on layers and in a 2D software, just blurred out different versions of it. Like
Yeah.
blurred
I think
the
we just-
background, blurred the foreground.
I think we did that stuff probably in the online when we were finishing the show and
Oh
assembling
yeah, that's
Final Picture.
right.
I think
Yeah.
I think on ReBoot we were still sitting down there with Dermot and who else was down there? And
And yeah.
yeah,
Over.
and I mean that was my favorite part of production, post-production.
Your favorite part of production was
when all the hard work was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When my job was completed and I watched someone else do their job. Yeah.
I love that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gets infected there with some sort of.
She gets bitten by a web creature.
That's right. Oh, there's the eye.
Oh, that's right.
And then out of nowhere, we just decide that Matrix's gun can shoot a tracker as well as lasers.
Yeah. It was handy, I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
In my
Well,
episode.
We need to track that guy.
Exactly. Here's my attempt at putting anime speed lines in back in the day.
Yeah.
Is that another tube with color?
Yep. Yeah, no 2D effects.
Same tube. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I think we overthink things nowadays.
Yeah.
I sometimes watch the way people build things and try to do effects, and I'm just like, why? Why?
Yeah.
So here we've got the saucy
That's a good
mare
shot.
in all its glory. I'm trying to remember. I used to often steal shots from other movies and put them in as temp in editorial
Just as stand-ins?
Yeah, just
Because you didn't have any boards or anything, right? You weren't using storyboards.
No. God,
Yeah.
you remember the days of no storyboards or no shot lists or?
Yeah.
Do you miss those days at all, or are you kind of happy you got a shot list and a bunch of?
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, I wouldn't want to produce something like that again.
No, me
You remember on day you'd have
It was fun, but
eight
yeah,
weeks
no.
of production. Day one, here's your script, here's your crew. The clock starts ticking, and here's
the
your
dialogue.
You're already
here's your
behind.
record. Yeah, yeah,
You're
exactly.
already behind. Yeah.
You're already behind, but good luck.
Yeah. So Princess Bula here is voiced by Sharon, who also does Andrea,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
which was nice for her because I was like, oh, Sharon doesn't have any work in this episode because Andrea's passed out the whole time. But so we got her to do this secondary character.
The transparency thing was quite difficult, I remember.
Yep.
Getting Andrea to look that way?
Yeah, I remember to get the. I think we ended up doing it just with a comp, but because they wanted her to feel hollow too.
Yeah, I think we tried to make the materials and textures transparent rather than just taking her layer and messing with it in comp. We didn't have
Yeah.
we didn't have a compositing team. It was just the animators were lighting their own stuff and putting everything together, and it was all done in 3D in Softimage. So there wasn't like, oh, let's composite the show together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody.
No, we didn't really have
their
a
own
in-house
shots.
compositor at this stage.
No. And those particle effects that we have here, that was like a
Oh, I
huge
think
deal.
I'm
We barely ever got to
losing
do
you
these.
guys.
Yeah. That's
This
good.
was
That's
a
a nice
big-
looking shot.
Yeah, it was a big deal, those particle effects.
Yeah, I remember that. This was the beginning of like starting to get some specialized talent doing certain jobs. Remember, like you started to get Joe Cruz to do effects.
Yeah, we would have one effects guy for all the shows that were going.
Everyone would just share them.
Yeah. There we go, into the web.
It's got a kind of the lines and the stuff, the way it's moving there. It's got the kind of reminiscent of the Matrix, kind of.
Yeah.
The way the creatures move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they ripped it off from us.
Yeah.
So this is the question
the
that all the
old
fans are gonna like ask us about, that we have no idea how it was done. Because I'm trying to remember. I know that that
The
Wellman.
I think
Yeah, do you remember
Yeah.
anything about it, Casey?
I remember
I-
it was
not
mostly Joe
really.
Cruz.
Yeah, Joe Cruz. It was Joe Cruz, and I think maybe it would have been. I think it was mostly Joe Cruz, but
I was
the other
so
thing
impressed by
was
that little bit
Fernando.
of the shot there where he pulled a piece of that asteroid or whatever with it.
Yeah, with him. Yeah.
But it wasn't
Yeah,
that
there was a lot of-
complicated. I remember in terms of like how you would do it now, it was very simple, just pieces of geometry that were textured
It
with
was.
like procedural textures.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I would guess.
Well, because I
Yeah, I
remember
think it was
like
a
in the
combination of
script.
that.
In the script, it was just described as a miasma of color
Yeah.
or something like
And
that.
we had
I always
one
remember the
Brendan
word
McCarthy
miasma.
picture. It had one Brendan McCarthy picture. Here,
Yeah.
give me this.
And it wasn't even in color. You
And
know,
it-
I mean, it was just a black and white
No,
sketch.
probably not. A marker drawing. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah,
right?
you know, that's how he always did everything.
Well, you know what? That was part of the fun back then, right? I
Oh,
think
just
we as
figuring it out.
artists had an opportunity to like try so many things. Nowadays,
It
you
took us
wouldn't get that
forever to
opportunity.
get that thing approved too. I mean, I
Oh, for
remember
sure.
it took forever to kind of like, what's the concept? What should it look like? What color?
Yeah.
Where should it, what should it be?
I'm
How
halfway
should
through
it
my
move?
episode.
Yeah, exactly. Zeke needs these, and we need these. Yeah, Yeah, I think you guys are right though. It was just geometry floating around. Because I think we just all decided, okay, it's kind of like inside a lava lamp.
Yep.
There's things moving around. It's lots of layers of smoke and stuff. That's a nice looking shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great though for what it was, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember what I referenced for this was a lot of Das Boot.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. I remember really liking those shots. I remember seeing those shots when you guys
Yeah,
were working on.
offline on the
wow,
screen. That's a good one.
Yep.
those are awesome.
There's Scott
Editor
Balch's
joke.
potato peeler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I stole a lot of these shots from Das Boot. There's even a bolts popping.
I remember we put in temp stuff too in our animatics, and I remember getting in trouble for it. So
Oh, I never got in trouble for it. Yeah, there's the bolts
we got
popping.
in trouble.
It was just if anybody saw it.
If
Yeah.
a client or anybody saw. But the thing with ReBoot, we didn't have any clients, right? So,
Yeah, sure.
which was weird for like being our first, all of our kind of first production. Because then when we went and started working on other shows, there was this other level of approval and people we had to please, and we're like, what? What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Doing animated cartoons, you just make them for yourself, right? And then whatever you think is cool, then that's what's good.
Remember on Beast Wars where we would all get so upset about, other producers coming in and saying like, we need some reaction shots. And you're like, what are you talking about? And it's funny though, now I've seen some of those episodes and I was like, they were right. The reaction shots really make it sing. It's true. He was right. Jonathan Goodwill. He had it right.
Somebody who'd actually worked on something real before,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
where we were all just kind of learning on the job and making it,
Totally,
and also
right?
making it up.
Yeah.
Like nobody had much experience, and so we were just like, oh, this is how you make a thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we were a
do
bunch
you
of-
really need to telegraph it that everyone gets to know what the character's thinking? You really need to telegraph. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you should. Yeah.
You mean the audience doesn't know all the stuff we know? What the hell?
Yeah. They'll
Why didn't they
get
read
it.
the script
Look.
first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, look at
Ooh,
that
he just hit him.
Soxum, yeah.
Oh, it's like Doctor Strange's cape, the surfboard, just kind of.
Yeah, we're ahead of our time on a lot of things.
Yeah, or behind. I guess that is coming from the
That's what's comic.
There's gonna be trouble here.
Yeah. I think this was the show that I started to understand what lenses were. I remember before a lot of the early episodes, we didn't quite realize that you could stick, you could do different effects with different lenses and so forth. And there was a one shot of Bob in early days where he's just sitting on a couch and talking, and then when he gestures, his hand is like enormous.
Yeah.
And we're like, what's wrong? What's going on? We're like, you're using a 12mm lens. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then remember also, I think Soft Image's lenses were backwards. You remember that, Casey?
Yeah, they were FOV. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like-
you know what? I totally didn't hear anything you said because my connection just cut out. But were you guys talking about FOV and lenses?
Yeah. Do you remember Soft Image's lens numbers were the opposite of the real world?
Yeah, well, FOV is field of view. It's a computer thing, right? So the way that the programmers were measuring perspective back then was based on an angle of view, and the way lensing works is it's different in photography and cinematography, right? So the numbers, were backwards. So you had a really high number to represent a shallow lens. So it's like a 16mm lens is like, I don't know, 95 degrees or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was really proud of
took me a
this
while-
moment here. Sorry to butt in, but when we turn, the vid window slider on the bottom slides to the right.
Oh, yeah.
I was super excited by that. And then here for that shot that of Surfer, I was like, I had kind of started to figure out telephoto lenses, and I was like, oh, we can get these super cool effects. But half the time, the animators didn't know what I was talking about because they'd never worked with a real camera, and I'd never worked with a real camera. And it was kind of years later is when people switched over to Maya and computer cameras started to mimic the real world instead of just their own FOV numbers, as Casey was saying, that you could correlate real world cameras to CG cameras.
Well, they started putting the slider for camera lens, so FOV is still in there. If you dig for it, it's still there.
Yeah.
But they just put in a new thing they called it camera lens, and now you can look at it like, oh, I want a 35 millimeter lens or a 75 or whatever, right? It does so much. But I think even today, my students are still like, what, camera lenses? I got to change it? It's like, yeah, dude. Remember that talk we did about cameras?
It is the biggest thing you see on a demo reel, and it is one of those things that kind of like gives it that, you know, I mean, wow, the animation's really good. Cameras aren't so, do you know what I mean? And that doesn't affect you hiring the guy as an animator, but it means he doesn't understand or know about that stuff.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. Like compared to being able to animate something, camera lenses are easy.
Well, nowadays there's so many, like there's a video that can explain how it all works to you online. So it's like most people should know it, right? Yeah.
So coming up here is my Free Willy tribute. I was pretty happy with moving around these, and then the little like tease of the leader of the Web Riders. Really into wipes back then too. That web rider, that web creature doesn't have any texture on it. Space.
Can get textures on it, everything.
Yeah. No motion blur, eh? It makes a.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I remember in my episode not realizing that they wouldn't be able to see off the deck of the ship. I don't think when I started mine, I don't think we maybe had the design of what it was going to look like.
Probably not, right?
So I think it's one of those things where you're like, I didn't have the experience to like adjust what I had planned for the new set.
Did you had it all planned out, and then you got the model, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, I was like, I thought he'd be able to see, but of course he can't because there's a
he's
shell
in a submarine.
there.
Covered in shells,
yeah, exactly. I was thinking more of like a pirate ship. So I think I would plan stuff, guys in the rigging and things like that, being able to see distances, and then I was like, oh, that's not it.
Do you remember how much of an overlap we would have had in production? Like, did you start maybe halfway through my show?
I was gonna say it's 2 to 3 weeks. I think it would have been. So yeah, you would have been like 2 to 3 weeks into your show.
So I probably didn't have many of the shots inside because I think we basically did things in a linear fashion for the most part, if I remember.
Yeah, if you had the model, you know what I mean? That was the thing. So I mean, remember we had to like put the exterior web stuff was way late.
Yep.
In the process. You know what I mean? So like you were animating without the web in there.
Yep. Definitely.
And then it was like adjusting the cameras later to see, you know, what you can do with the web now that you have now that I have it.
Now that I have it 6 weeks into production.
Yeah. What does it do?
2 weeks left.
Yeah. How can I use it in these shots I already have? Yeah.
It must have been hard for you guys as directors too, because like you said, like we didn't have a set storyboard, and so you're making stuff up sometimes as you go, and our show needs to fit into our show needed to fit into your show, and it's like,
we will talk about that in a few minutes.
That was always the
I thought I'd bring that up.
That's one of the most memorable times of Andrew and I working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, here we go. Here's Free Willy.
That was
I stole these few shots exactly from Free Willy. Like I said, we had these old VHS tapes, which had to be in PAL because we were working in PAL.
Yeah.
And then we would like record shots off of VHS and cut them into our animatic. Here we go.
Yeah.
That one.
There you go.
You should have had him go, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I have ripped off
that one.
Free Willy shot.
Oh yeah.
A couple times. I think we did it in Cloudy and.
I get a kick out of the way that the skiff rolls over and kind of floats up every time I see it.
You got a lot of nice ideas in here, Zeke. There's a lot of nice kind of stuff going on, shot-wise and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of kind of the composition and the flow of it. Every time I watch an old ReBoot episode, I feel sad that our technology and animation skills weren't up to the level of the story and the ambition that we had. Like, I haven't worked on anything since ReBoot that had kind of the scope and the fun and the the story that ReBoot had. But of course, I've worked on stuff that looks way more sophisticated.
Yeah, my thing is when I watch them, I always just want to like cut them tighter.
They are slow.
Yeah, slow. I don't know why I left the dialogue so long sometimes when I watch it. It's actually good that it's a little bit stuttery here, so we don't comment on it.
Well, I was when I did the commentary for Icons with you last time and with Cambo, the Binome gag animation did not work at all. It was so slow. Like when a Binome was supposed to be doing a take, he'd just be like 24 frames to look over there, and then squish his eye closed in a second, and then look up and be surprised. And
So this is when they're. See, that one is the one. Yeah, no, that's the one. So at the ending,
I had to change it.
At the ending there, but they're still surrounding him. They're still surrounding the ship. All right, here's what the deal was. Okay. What the deal was. Zeke comes into our Avid one day and he says, "Hey, come over here and take a look at what I did to the ending of my show."
Last shot. It's so
my
cool.
Last shot.
My favorite shot
so
I've ever
awesome.
directed.
Yeah. So I go, okay, awesome. So I go over and I take a look at it, and he shows me the shot, and it pulls out from the ship. What was the ship called again? The Nautilus?
It's the Saucy Mare.
Saucy Mare, yeah. Pulls out from the Saucy Mare, and it reveals like more and more and more of these web riders. But not only are they in one position, they're completely around the ship, like they're surrounded the thing. And it pulls out, and it ends with the guy going, "Attack!" Do you know
So that hand gesture, that was the compromise. The hand gesture originally was him like pointing to the Saucy Mare, and then all the web writers like rushing past camera, and then we cut to black.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. And then I saw that, and I was like, wow, that looks amazing. That looks awesome. And then I'm like thinking about it, going, well, wait a minute. My show starts with them sailing peacefully through the web. With them, talking about, is Andrea going to be all right, or that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, how are we going to resolve that ending you have with my stuff? So,
they're just really slow. They're like 16 kilometers away.
Yeah, I think the only thing we should have done is maybe had the Saucy Mare moving away from them a bit, and it's like, you know how people are up on a cliff watching the wagon train go by.
Exactly. Yeah, and so the compromise wasn't super great, but at least it wasn't insane the way that. Because the problem, so then the reason that Andrew and I got into an argument over it was because I was, I liked the shot, but I understood that, of course, it had to work for Andrew's episode. But on top of that, it was my last day or two of production, and so I'm like, that means
now
I have to change things. So I was more had my backup more because I had exactly.
And the thing is that then, because then at that point I went back, talked to Casey. Where's Casey's like, he can't do that. So I went and Casey's like, you should go tell. You know what I mean?
You go tell on him.
My response. You should go tell on him.
Go tell on him.
I was like, I'm gonna go tell on him. I am gonna go tell him. So I went to Adrian's office, who was Ian's like assistant, and I was like, hey, I just wanted to, and I was super casual about it. Hey, not a big deal at all. But just wondering if you think this might be a problem with the black. I go back to the Avid. Casey's like, did you do it? I was like, yeah, I did it. And then 5 minutes later, there's like a page on the paging system. Zeke Norton, Ian's office. Zeke, Ian's office. Zeke goes walking by my Avid. I'm sitting in my chair, and the look on your face. I remember thinking to myself, I might leave early today. I knew Zeke wouldn't have done anything, but it was like one of the things, wow, he looks pretty mad.
Yeah, and then Ian chewed me out. He's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. That's when I realized I'm a squealer.
Good time.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't have to do it.
We're going to start the second episode. Are you all ready?
For sure.
Yep.
That's the start of Web Riders on the Storm. Please press play in 3, 2, 1.
Here we are with the opening.
Deja vu.
Excellent.
Do you remember who cut those openings? It wasn't you, was it, Andrew?
I don't think it was me. I think it was actually Craig McEwen.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because
The last opening did not have Bob in it, did it? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think it did.
I think you're right.
No.
Yeah.
I thought they hadn't changed openings from episode to episode in each for.
They did in
chapter.
season 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it
Well,
evolved.
season
I
3
went
was
back
the
and
first
watched.
one to have different openings for every 4
That's
episodes.
right.
Like season 1 and 2
Yeah.
had the same opening all season, right?
all the way through.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, and you're right. In season 4, there was a different opening for each four episode chunk.
Season 3.
Season 3, yeah, sorry. Season 4, I don't know anything about.
Okay,
Yeah, so
those
there you
web
go.
writers should
They're
really be
surrounded.
attacking.
Where'd
Yeah,
they go?
Get 'em.
They're surrounded, and also, this is without a doubt the laziest shot I've ever done, because it's like just sitting
The
there.
camera's
waiting,
not even
like,
moving. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got
I
these
think I use
pulsating.
this.
Oh, there's
my,
the saucy mare.
This was my footage elastic band shot to try to keep my show in time. I just kept making that shot longer or shorter, depending on how much footage I need to get that week.
You know what? It was either that shot or the last shot of the show that you gave me. Because I think I was like, I don't know, 8 seconds away from doing 90 seconds. Remember that, guys?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was insane.
The big bonus. And I think Lori came in and was like, Casey, you're like 8 seconds short, and I'd never done it before. So Andrew just pulled up an elastic shot like that. And it's like, just go do this. So I did the shot, and we counted it for the previous weekend. I hit 90 seconds. It was awesome.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we had the web when we did that either. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
see,
all
'cause
you
if
had
you
to
look-
do was just
yeah.
put the camera there and translate the
Yeah.
saucy mare
Yeah, I
from
mean, he shook it. He
two
shook the
keyframes?
camera as it,
Yeah,
the camera
it was-
shook as he went past.
Yeah. I think I
might
did it in
be-
like 5 minutes.
That might be interesting for people listening to hear. We had this insane bonus
Yeah.
system that Ian Pearson came up with to try and motivate the animators. So I think we had a weekly quota of, what was it, 20 seconds?
It was
Do you remember?
30.
20,
Maybe
It was
20 or
30.
30
30, yeah.
seconds. Maybe it was 30.
25 to
It was
30,
30.
somewhere, yeah.
And so that was what you were expected to do. That's what you're being paid to do. But then on top of that, if you could animate more, every frame you animated over 30 seconds, you would get an extra $1.
Yeah, but on season 3,
It was
they
$2.
doubled it. It was $2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was
And then-
absolutely insane.
It was insane. And then if you hit 90 seconds, you got not only the $2 for every frame after, but you also got a $1,000 bonus.
And so we
It
were
was
making
insane.
money hand over fist. And the thing is, you would, as a director, you had a lot of power.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You could give, your friend, your favorite animators, someone who had done a really good job for you previously or whatever, give them, 'cause it wasn't based on complexity of shot at all, right? Remember, it was just,
Sometimes
really.
you could get double footage. You could get double footage for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
if it was
this shot
complicated with
here,
a lot of characters.
which would take, as Casey would say, like 5 minutes to do, would be 30 seconds on its own, or
Yeah.
5 to 10 seconds or whatever, and you could get paid for that, and then somebody would be animating 10 binomes for 3 seconds
For
and never
force,
make,
yeah.
never make it to
Nothing.
quota.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
like
then you'd have to be like, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, the jungle.
I like to think that we doled those sweet shots out accordingly to the
As
right
rewards.
people.
Yeah.
Rewards. You do this hard shot for us, and we'll give you an easy one over here.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
let's
try
say
to be
that.
fair if you're saying it's a double footage. Yeah, I'm gonna give you double footage for this. If it was a little bit tougher, you'd give them a little bit of bonus. And we were never accountable for it either. That was the other thing, right? There was never anybody checking how much footage you gave away.
There was no computer tracking system.
No.
It was all on
Yeah.
paper. You would just write down, how many seconds you'd animated that week. And the other crazy thing that that Ian himself started in season 2 with me, I was one of the top footage getters until I started directing. because I was an animator in season 1 and 2, and one of the things that made me a ton of money, being one of Ian's favorite animators, was that he would give me like a big shot that he wanted to shoot from a bunch of different angles. So, for example, in Bad, so I did a shot in Bad Bob.
Bad Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So there's the big airplane cockpit on tracks that's rushing down the road, and it explodes or gets punched through by a mega truck, I think. And he wanted to shoot it from 5 or 6 different cameras. So I just animated it once, put 5 cameras on it, and he was like, "Yeah, you can count five times the shot, like 5 times the footage."
Yeah, exactly.
And so I did that on a Beast Wars, on an explosion, like shoot it from it, and production came to me like, "Your animator's," I think it was Kevin Scott. He was like, "Your animator's claiming like 3 minutes, and how much are you using in the show?" I'm like, "I don't know, like 15 seconds."
Like, that's all he's getting. Yeah.
Somebody started to get wise after, but it was a gravy train for a few seasons of ReBoot there.
You made that device, didn't you, Casey?
I think I did. I think we did not have a design for it. And I was like, I'll design it.
I think you made this whole kind of thing, and I think you might have animated this sequence. Yeah, you did
Yeah,
that
I think
sequence.
I did.
This is really cool.
Yeah. The tube going through.
So long ago.
And isn't it crazy to think that you could do that kind of thing within an 8-week schedule? You're like, in the script, it would say, transfuses blood/energy or whatever they have. And then you arrive at that scene and you're like, okay, well, what do I do here? No one drew a picture of it. No one storyboarded it. Hey, Casey, do you want to like build something that could do that?
What, for me, those were the fun jobs. I was like, cool, right on. I get to input some of my own creativity, and
and you'd be like, I get to rig it, decide how it works, and it opens like this. I'm thinking, because sometimes Brandon would come by and he'd like, hey, I heard you guys need a design for something. He'd be like, yeah, transfusion device. And he'd just sketch it up on a piece of paper in front of you, like, what do you think? Something like this? Like, yeah, maybe he has this. Yeah, all right. Then he'd go. That
was
needs to build this.
That was my first interaction with him, and at the time, I didn't have a clue who he was or what he had done. Total noob. It was like my first week in the office was on season 2 Games Collide, and we needed to do that dinosaur tank. And I walked into his office. I said, "Hey, I hear you want me to model this." And I go, "You got a drawing?" And he literally just took a piece of paper and sketched something in like 10 seconds. Do something like that. And we had a conversation, and that was it. I was like, cool, whatever.
This is for the listeners. This is Brendan McCarthy, who went on to do Mad Max Fury Road.
And he was a writer on that too, wasn't he?
He got a writing story credit just because it's basically all boards.
The boards, basically.
Right.
Yeah. If you look, that script is basically a script plus a board combined together. It's pretty cool.
Andrew, those guns, did you rip those shots off from somewhere? It looks familiar.
Some of them probably. I can't remember from what. But.
So here we are in Act 2, and finally the web writers are getting to the saucy mare.
It's a race into the doorway. Yeah.
So we spent the whole.
Oh, that's right.
Act.
He could go into the board.
I remember being so impressed by that particle effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, this is the first season we started using that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Particles? We never used that stuff before season 3. Shadows? Unheard of.
Do you remember what? Was this your crazy idea, Andrew? The board through the door like a cartoon?
I think so. Oh, yeah.
Frying pan to the face or something?
And then it's like, but it's one of those things where you're like, where I'm looking at it now, I'm like, why did I leave that? Obviously, I couldn't show the board come through, but the guy sitting there rubbing his head is like, does that read that he got hit with that? I think oh, yeah, these gunshots are probably from... This is an example of that too, Zeke, I think, where we had them do some gun firing animation, and then we just put a bunch of cameras on it.
Yeah. Because none of us were from an animation background. We were all from, like, just computer background, except... and Ian and Gavin and Phil, who were basically our mentors for a lot of us, especially in directing.
Well, for me, I came more from a live action background.
Yeah, and they were from live action.
Anything about computers.
Exactly. So they always instructed us, and we always took our cues from live action and not from animated films. And I wish we hadn't been so dismissive of the 12 principles of animation, for example. Like, that
I
the
do
character
too.
stuff
Yeah.
suffered because if we had, even with our limited technology, if we had studied, animation more than or as much as live action, I think even at the time it would have looked better.
Yeah.
There was less
Yeah, but
animation to study in this sort of kind of.
Well, yeah, not any 3D stuff, but you look at Pixar that was doing the same thing as we were at the time. They were working on Toy Story while we were working on this, and they knew how to do squash and stretch and pose to pose and overlap and.
Because I think they were more of an animation company than a computer
Yeah.
company, whereas Mainframe started out more kind of a computer tech company that could do animation.
Yeah.
Well, and that was Lasseter's background, right? He was a 2D animator. He had animated at Disney for years and whatnot. So he went from 2D to 3D, right?
Yeah.
So he already had that foundation that Zeke's talking about. Whereas, yeah, you're right, Zeke. Like a lot of us came from other disciplines and for whatever reason picked up 3D. Hey, this is cool.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, we're making cartoons, right?
Well, that's a cool shot.
Yeah. So,
we love
doing
Chris
stuff with the
Buckley?
binos.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think a
Chris
lot of
Buckley
those
and Earl
Chris Buckley,
Fast.
Yeah.
And Earl Fast. Yeah. So do you remember, Andrew, we used a bunch of footage from Dances with Wolves for this scene, I think. When when the web writers are charging. That's what we got in trouble for.
We did with the buffalo.
You guys gotta take that out. You guys can't use that.
I feel like this stuff was also
we're
Star
not.
Wars, right?
Yeah. Some of this stuff was Star Wars,
Yeah,
for sure. We would
definitely.
have referenced that.
Oh, there's a
idea.
Star Wars reference at the end of this one for sure.
Yeah.
That's Chris Buckley shot right
That was a
there.
cool
That's
idea with
Chris
his,
That was-
pupil dilating.
That was one of his first shots. I remember that. Thinking, hey, the new game's pretty good.
I like cameras that traveled with things. I think I was doing it a lot.
Do you still do that?
Oh, there's the sometimes now, sparingly now more. I think I do more things sparingly than I did then.
Yeah.
That was there. That was a big effect too at the time.
I think the fact that we did hire like editors from live action and directors even from live action, I think that sort of brought a real sort of interesting mix to the table. And I think Ian was like, I don't know, I think he was really ahead of the times. Like he used to, remember on season 3, would tell us, just do coverage and then we'll figure it out in editorial. And we were all like, are you kidding me? And like on a dialogue shot where the camera wouldn't be on someone, he'd say, just animate the whole thing. We'll figure it out in editorial.
Yeah.
Which in some ways is really brilliant. In other ways, it was like, no, we can't do that, man. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. It doesn't.
But now
it doesn't look good from every angle. Yeah.
No, but now with mocap and stuff, like you can work that way. It's kind of interesting now when I
look at
back.
that intersection with the rope and the.
Yeah, that's what I do in when I'm doing cinematics now because I'm working in video games. I have live.
Do you remember that when you had to stick the gun through the shell?
I remember that.
There was that big thing where there was like, all right.
Whoa, what is happening there?
This is where I think I forgot that. Yeah, he's sending out these pre-tags, so he's tagging all the guys ahead of time.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then he fires the bullet, and then we watch it, and it goes through, and it kills everybody. I was like, oh yeah, Matrix killed people. See, it's flicking around like the magic bullet. Here it comes. It's gonna disappear right into one guy's head, I think.
Whoa! I had forgotten that shot.
Yeah. Troops fall back. Yeah.
What, the first subtitle? We've heard him speak the whole time, and now he gets subtitled.
I think we could have probably done that without a subtitle.
Yeah.
Especially since it was just like a modem sound, wasn't
it? It was, yeah.
Yeah.
You should have had the cook continue to be peeling potatoes this whole episode.
Yeah.
He didn't make an appearance in this episode, did he?
No, that was him right there. He was just cheering.
Oh, was that with him there?
Yeah, he just didn't have his bucket.
Oh, there he is.
That was Long John Baldry as the captain too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know why that just came into my mind.
Did you go to the voice record for this? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I think I hadn't gone to voice records for Icons, but I think I went to this one to.
Well, this was my very first episode. Yeah, so this was the first time I got to do anything. Yeah, I mean, it was like.
This is the first show you directed?
Yeah. That
wow.
made her. Yeah. And then I don't think I was supposed to do end prog. I think it was Owen was going to do it, but then something happened.
That's right. Yeah.
I ended up getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up doing that one together. That was fun.
Yeah, because you were going to do that one with Owen, and then they were like, well, he's finishing that one, so we might as well.
Oh, you should do commentary on that. That's super fun.
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh, I remember these shots.
We should get some of the animators on there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get Buckley and Kelsey.
Get Kappelman. Jeff Kappelman.
Kappelman, yeah. Kappelman did the one shot.
I thought Kappelman had set the style for the crazy squash and stretch binomes for the music.
He did one shot.
Musical?
He did one shot with Bob. He did the one shot with Bob in it, but pretty much most of the other stuff was Shona and Buckley and Kelsey.
Oh,
I thought he did. Yeah. Well, he did a few shots for sure.
He did the shot of Bob when he's walking down singing something, 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 something. He looks so crazy. He looks so different from everyone else's style.
Yeah.
So what we did, had, in the previous scene, we had a pillar fall down and hit him in the head to justify.
Okay, here we go.
Animation was.
Star Wars reference. Remember that?
Oh, that was it. Oh yeah.
That was Empire Strikes Back.
Going out the hole there.
That too.
Yeah.
We got in trouble for that with the penguin. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember? Was that the episode we finally got in trouble because we used to throw the penguin in all the time, the Wallace and Gromit penguin.
And then I think because we had him
got away with it a lot of the time, and then you saying that was the last time we were allowed to use them.
I think we blew it.
Yeah. Really? Oh man, I'm sorry.
I think we were the ones that blew it.
We blew it, did we? Well, you gotta be remembered for something.
But they left it in, even though they were worried they might get sued for it, because they were like, okay, we're gonna get sued if we keep putting the Wallace and Gromit penguin.
He's the Linux penguin.
There you go.
On the Web Riders, that's right.
I don't remember that big guy. That's not Bob, is it? What is Bob?
No. He's the guy.
That's
he's got one slithery arm, and then this is where we showed like the captain can really fight, man. He's not giving up. Here comes the princess.
Yeah, we could have used some motion blur.
Yeah. Could have used some, like, I mean, we were shooting a lot of that stuff kind of wide in an unnecessary way, maybe.
Oh,
I remember that. Who was that again that did that?
Oh, that's a nice little bit of animation for the day.
Yeah.
Or back in the day, like kicking.
The fight there? I'm not sure who did this stuff.
I'm trying to think of that. Who did that?
Katrina? It might have been Katrina.
It might have been Katrina, yeah.
This was sweet. Which suite was this? This was right on the end, wasn't it?
Suite D, yeah.
Suite D.
Whoa. Good memory. Holy smokes. Yeah, something like that type of. I didn't see what you mean, Andrew. Like that reaction. It seems so slow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like he's hitting it. He's
you gotta
thinking,
sigh,
he has to make
and
move.
and then you're just like nowadays you'd be like out of it in a 24 frames or second.
I mean, I wonder what our shot counts were back on these episodes, because I bet you they're much lower than. I mean, probably not huge. I mean, they're not. I wonder if they're, because right now we hit around 450.
I think they were.
Yeah.
The number I remember in my head is they were somewhere around 300 to 350.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
I think so, because I remember when another series came out that we did. That,
Beast Machines.
Beast Machines was getting up around 400, and people were starting to get alarmed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bob.
There's Bob.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, spoiler.
But remember, we didn't have any way of tracking shots either. It was just in the we had
the coordinators.
But there was no shotgun. There was no like.
We eventually had something, didn't we?
No, it was
did
all
we? Did we have?
I remember in 2001 on Scary Godmother was the first time in mainframe history that we started to write shots down, like give them numbers, and like this is how many. This is the name of this shot. This is how long it is, and this is what number it is. And before that,
eventually we had some sort of shot tracker software in-house, didn't we?
Yeah, but that was long after ReBoot was over.
Yeah, I guess this was still by paper, like you said.
Sorry. How long
Yeah.
did it take Glitch to like fly off of his belt?
I know.
He held his hand out there forever.
and he's just kind of moving around. It's
Yeah, it's just like, why didn't he come up? Go! Cut! Come on!
we could have fit twice the story into these episodes.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
that's why then we would have been
Probably.
short on time.
Well, because you had to have so much footage done per week and get it done that you let shots be long so that you could be. You know what I mean? I think that's probably what it was. And then later,
I
you're
think
like,
that's
"We
part
cut
of
this
it, but
out."
also I don't think that any of us. I mean, well, I'll speak for myself. I don't think I had an eye for timing, right? Like this is what I'm
Mhm.
saying about classical animation. Like I didn't have. It didn't look
I
wrong to
thought
me.
I did. Yeah.
But you know what? I think your sensibility changes too. And I think our
It does,
sensibility as a
right?
culture
Yeah.
changes, right? You go back and look at episode 4 of Star Wars and it's slow, man. I think it's slow. I don't know.
Well, and I remember season 3 of ReBoot being quite a bit faster than what season 1 and 2 were.
For sure.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like we were going, you know what I mean? So even when you look at the progression between that and the different cameras and shot choices and things like that. But then it's still, because it's we're so accelerated now. It's
But even if you
But
looked at some of our animation touchstones like Akira, you know, that obviously holds up in terms of its timing and
yeah, no,
so
for
forth.
sure.
True.
So I don't
But
know
again,
why that
based
didn't-
on 2D animation sensibilities in a way, you know what I mean? Like all based on
Mhm.
animation. Whereas
Yeah.
I think you're right, Zeke. We were more based on movie. I mean, most of the guys who were directing until Jay Faulkner came in were
like
movie
we're not
guys.
animators.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon. That episode really stands out.
Oh, there's the icon.
Yeah, I got to work
That
on
was a
that
big
with
moment.
Jake. That was a big moment.
And it stands
Oh,
out
the icons.
from
Don't bring up the icons.
Oh, yeah, remember that?
Well,
This
you're
is
like,
where I
"What's that?"
got. It wasn't for this episode. It was Rocky the Raccoon. I got in big trouble for the icons.
Why?
Why? I don't know. We messed it up or something, and they ended up yelling at me.
Were they were backwards or upside down or something?
I think that
We
was a
didn't really
Katrina shot.
We didn't understand what the animation was supposed to be, so we did what we thought was right, and for some reason, Ian decided to take it out on me rather than Jay Faulkner.
Well, you remember how big Jay Faulkner is.
Yeah, no, I knew what was going on. I'm the small guy.
I mean, if I was going to give somebody shit about something, I'm like, okay, the big guy or that little guy? Let's pick on that little guy.
Yeah, I had to wear both to at least understand that's what was happening.
Bob. Oh, Bob should have
Bob.
gave him a hug. That was more of an animation thing. No, we can't have them hug. They'll crash. It's like,
Yeah, it was
should have
tricky.
just not worried about it. We should have just not worried about it and adjusted it with the angle so we don't see it.
Yeah, put the camera in the right place.
Yeah. And
I remember that last shot too.
Yeah.
Remember that last shot? It was Chris Buckley animated that last shot, and I remember there was a problem rendering it, and I went and looked at the scene, and he had somehow put 17,000 textures in that scene.
He just loaded up the Saucy Mare 100 times and
Yeah, I
hit
don't know what he did.
99 of them.
It was probably all the binomes he was adding. He was probably adding them.
Oh, they were probably
locally
all
or something.
inside. The Saucy Mare probably had all the characters inside it.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, wow, how did you do that? Good on you.
All right, thank you guys. That's
Some
excellent.
good memories.
Yeah, it was good to see you again.
Talking about